What's up, guys? Kyoka1994 here, going to talk to you about anything, you guessed it, Dragon Ball, from Ball to Z and everything in between. And I am back again today with a very special guest to talk about some ideas of some other side stories involving a very smart cyborg. But before we dive into that, I do want to introduce back to the channel a very good friend of mine, the man of the shadows, MrNinjaStar. What's up, man? How you doing today?
Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm MrNinjaStar, and I'm happy to be making my return on Kyoka1994's channel, where you also saw the thumbnail, you read the title. We're going to be talking about DrGero, or DrGero, however you want to say it.
We are definitely going to be diving in on the evil man himself, but first I want to tell you guys, if you like what you hear from Ninja himself, I want you guys to click over on the link down in the description below and head over to his channel and check it out. You won't be disappointed, and you're not going to be disappointed by, subbing to him and hitting that notification bell on his channel so you can stay up to date with his content as well. Not only does he just do Dragon Ball content like a lot of us that happen to appear on my channel, and strictly my channel is Dragon Ball, but he actually covers a lot of animes such as One Piece and Death Note and things about like My Hero and plenty of other animes that I don't even have to name because there's countless on there. So make sure you go over there and check out something. You're gonna enjoy it. But Ninja, today I wanted to dive into some side stories about the spectacular scientist, and I don't mean Bardock. I'm talking about the man who worked for a very powerful army and with a little help developed his idea of the ultimate creations to actually defeat the challenge that was Son Goku. That powerful scientist that I know you and me are both dying to talk about today is no other person than DrGero himself, or no other android technically than DrGero himself. We only got to see the Doctor for a short time, but his impact on the series with his creations would continue on both in series and in movies, so he is definitely somebody I wanted to talk side stories about today. Really only have one major idea, but I think it's something that would actually expand a lot to his story and to the full story overall. So I definitely wanted to hop in and talk about himself and maybe a little bit into the creations, even though we've already done an Android video, which I will leave linked down in the description below. But yeah, man, I really want to see the early years of DrGero and his research. I don't know exactly how far I would want them to start. I don't know if I would want them to actually start like, in grad school or something where he's like an evil mad scientist or anything. But I would love to see his early research, especially with, interviews and countless statements from people across the internet, learning that, like Android 16 is supposed to be modeled off DrGero's son, who was killed, and things along that. Just his research and his thoughts, I feel like should really be explored a little bit more, because I think he's a little bit, underestimated as a villain, because people think of the androids as being, 17 and 18 and Cell just being these like monstrous just terrors to the world and just our main characters in the show, but they would not exist if DrGero didn't put in the time and effort to actually build these androids. So I don't know exactly what you would want to see from any early years of research, and then we can kind of talk about that.
I think the thing is about Gero is he being able to create artificial humans. At the time of the Android saga, that was something not too prevalent. I mean, we saw Android A in the original Dragon Ball, but for like multiple to be created, and many years later for the Red Ribbon to resurface. Gero was definitely one of the more interesting Dragon Ball villains. It's a shame he wasn't too prominent after his death, but I mean, either way, I would love a more in-depth backstory on him, because we do know that he was a colleague to DrFloppy. I believe that's how you pronounce it. I'm not too sure there. Yeah, so it would be interesting to see, because he was the creator of Android 8. It would be interesting to see their dynamic, and maybe they were like really good friends, or he threw him a few tips that, DrGero took on to create 17 and 18. There's also Android 16 being modeled after DrGero's son, so you could get that whole plot line. Maybe was his son was it confirmed that his son was dead after, or before 16 came to fruition, or
I do believe that, even though, I mean, they do talk about it in Team 4-Star. They have the kind of like reanimated little segment of Android 16, quote unquote, in the shadows, DrGero's son, doing the kind of like, I believe it's like, hey dad, this is me at my new place, and you hear like Goku blow up the facility, which is like, when he ransacks it in Dragon Ball. And I think that they have done Toriyama, or I believe that Toriyama has actually said that yes, it is based off of his son who was a soldier, but I don't think that he confirmed that he died during the Goku infiltration of the Red Ribbon Army from Dragon Ball. I believe that that's just something Team 4-Star kind of just put together, but I do believe that he was in the army, specifically the Red Ribbon Army, and I would assume that he would be dead before 16.
Yeah, because I mean, obviously, if you model it after your son and your son's still alive, I mean, that's kind of it's kind of out there, even if you are an eccentric scientist. But I mean, either way, maybe there's that whole plot line of him finding out that his son died, because I would assume a soldier. So him deciding, I'm gonna model one of my greatest creations after him. So I think that could be like a little bit of a deeper thing that could work for Dragon Ball, considering we didn't have too much to work with as far as DrGero's character is concerned. So to see like a more enveloped backstory, I would love it. So that's just kind of my starting off statements.
No, yeah, I would love that as well. I would really actually like to see, especially since most of the time in these side stories, I really want to see manga panels more than I want to see any kind of anime. Just in most of the general ideas that I have, that's why I would rather see them in panel form. And I would really like to see, for the fact of, in the, late 80s, early 90s, it was a completely different kind of genre that we saw, both on TV and in the mangas, about like how violent they could be and just like how much they were willing to show on the page. And I mean, we have a segment of time where he would be torturing living people, trying to make these cyborgs or androids or whatever you want to call them. There is going to be a dark time where he had to do very awful things to people, and that's honestly something that I would want them to kind of explore. That could have actually been caused from, learning of his son's death, and that could be the breaking point of where he was like, okay, I'm done with making full robots, we're going to cyborgs. Something like, I need a real mind to try to like process information better than a computer, because I know that the human brain can't be replicated, or something like that. Would be very interesting to see him dive into, and it'd be very Toriyama-esque, since, he loved all of those 80s action films of, the Terminator and RoboCop and stuff like that. So seeing something like that would be very interesting and very reminiscent of like an early Toriyama in Dragon Ball.
Yeah. Regarding 17 and 18, I mean, and like that whole connection, I would assume he was working on them at around the same time, until he found out maybe before his son. He's like, you know what, I'm gonna keep working on these, but I'm gonna mainly focus most of my time on 16. And there might actually be a connection to Goku. We don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong, and feel free to cut me off, but like I don't recall like any connection like afterwards. Or I think he was literally programmed to kill Goku, so I would assume maybe, and not just the Red Ribbon Army thing, maybe Goku accidentally maybe killed Gero's son or something like that, and wanted not just wanted revenge. DrGero wanted revenge at Goku, not just for taking down the Red Ribbon, but also for taking his son's life. Even if he may not have intended, even the circumstances were probably altered a bit. I mean, I think that would be very fascinating plotline in the Dragon Ball room.
No, yeah, of course. Especially talking about like motives of characters. I mean, that just immediately builds depth to a character, just any kind of motive. And to change the like long-standing motive of having 16, his main priority actually be to kill Goku, and most of the community, assumes that that's DrGero, trying to finish off the Red Ribbon's actual, intent and the Red Ribbon's mission of killing Goku. But maybe, like what you were saying, maybe that's his mission because he took away his, only son. Well, we don't know only son, but he took away his blood, and that's something that one could possibly never forgive. So I could understand that being the motive of why he has to go out and try to kill Goku, and that's the only thing he can think of and the only thing that he can do. But I definitely also want to see, since you brought it up a little bit earlier, talking about DrFloppy or Farape creating Android 8, I would like to see what kind of interaction DrGero and Dr. Farape had together, just to see maybe he stole his ideas or maybe how they worked off of each other. I just watched a recent Pixar movie. I won't name the title. If you can guess it, leave it down in the comment section below, where a famous person actually is a complete dupe for the fact of he stole everything from another person and killed them so that nobody could, ever know that it wasn't his original content or original idea. So something around their relationship, maybe kind of a rivalry or something, that would also be something very interesting that I feel could come out through some manga pages. They could actually bring some kind of serious and comedic tone, since just from the little bit of interaction that we had with Dr. Flappe, having him with a little bit of lighter-hearted side compared to DrGero's just evil intent, that would be a very nice dichotomy to kind of see how they would have worked with each other. Yeah, no, because like I would see them, like, I would see that whole, like, I guess, mini rivalry. I mean, I would assume it's more camaraderie, if anything. I don't think it was like a legit serious rivalry. Probably just like a whatever, more camaraderie, if anything. But still, like, having that bond would push each other from each other's friendship to improve their own work. Like I mentioned earlier, Gero would probably take on some tips or some techniques that Flappe used, and vice versa, probably. So it'd be interesting to see maybe Android 8 having, like, Android 16 having a lot of similarities from Android 8. Maybe that gets, like, addressed or something like that, emphasizing that connection where the two were constantly building each other up. And I kind of went their separate ways, but either way, I think that would work fairly well, considering we didn't get too much for Gero or Flappe. And I mean, even though Flappe was filler, it would be cool to, I mean, he fit in with the storyline fairly well, so I think he could be added into the manga just fine. I think it would work out. And the other cool thing that you kind of brought up about, like, working together, like, to better the common good, even though we would assume the Red Ribbon Army to be evil, they are still, at the end of the day, just doing the job that they were told to do. That happens to a lot of countries in the real world. A lot of good people get sucked up into bad wars because of their governments. And this could also bring something that happens in the real world and has happened in the real world into our loving Dragon Ball universe. And that is maybe Dr. Flappe or Gero at one point was ashamed of their work and realized that their work was used to create evil. And maybe, again, that could have been a snapping point where DrGero was like, okay, well, if everybody else is using my creations for bad, then I guess that's what I'm going with it too. Or maybe that's what caused some kind of split between them, or Dr. Flappe to, either be killed or to not want to do this anymore, because that happened to Albert Einstein with the invention of the nuclear weapons and everything during World War II, being very ashamed and trying to live down that achievement by trying to have better achievements overtop them. But maybe we could see some kind of cool little turnaround for their characters back in a time before 17 and 18, and that would also be another cool little interesting thing that I think they could dive into. But I really don't see too much more coming out of this. It would not be a long series of books or anything. It would mainly probably be a one-shot of, I don't know, few chapters, up to 10 chapters, just a volume size to kind of just give some more depth into the characters. And I know that this kind of research and seeing his younger years would be something I would really enjoy. I don't know if there's any last things you would like to talk about before we kind of head off of this.
Nah, I got all my points in. I think you got all yours in. I think we can wrap up this video.
Awesome. So we're going to wrap it up for today with a nice little bow. I want to thank you guys for wasting some time today watching another set of Dragon Ball side stories on the channel. Today actually may have marked a real special time in the series, since I think it's the first time that I've actually done any kind of side stories on a real villain of the Dragon Ball universe. So I'm actually really excited about that, and if you guys enjoyed it, I would like you to let me know in the comment section below, and I will think about doing more villains later in the future. Just let me know who you want to see and everything down in the comment section below. Remember to go check out Ninja's channel. You're not going to be disappointed, and you're going to be happy. Remember, at the end of the day, it's always important to be happy, and you're going to get that from his channel. So definitely go over there and check that out. And if by any chance you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, I really do encourage you to do so that you can keep up to date with more of these side stories as they come out in the future. I definitely have a couple cool little rare ones that will still be popping up from here and there. And definitely make sure you stay up to date with every other series that we have on the channel. We have a lot of gaming and some cool little secret series that I have kind of in the back of my head working up, and I'm definitely going to have them out or slowly coming out sometime soon. So make sure you guys are staying around for the channel for that. I want you guys to have an amazing day, and as always, I will catch you guys next time.
Peace.